So yes, babies conditioning parents, and I'll tell you how. They want something. They don't get it, they start crying and crying and crying and annoying the parents. Now there are two ways of dealing with that. One of them is the parent gives up and gives way and then gives this item that this child wants. So the child wins. So the child now knows that the connection between I want something and I cry as much as possible and make a tantrum will eventually mean that I will get what I want. A parent conditioning. So they condition their parents. So one of the ways to deal with this is that they know that I can do this, and they do it, and they push further and further in what they ask for. And that's why some psychologists do recommend a vitamin no sometimes. So let's watch. This is an advert. It's a bit funny, but it also shows you how you could deal with a tantrum of a child in a market.
When you feel the first signs of a cold, use Vicks First Defense. It's a new microgel that attacks the cold virus before it has a chance to turn nasty. New Vicks First Defense. Attack is the best form of defense.
So that's also a way of dealing with a tantrum. So, summarizing, classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning, Pavlov's and his dogs. You give a neutral signal before a reflex, and there is always a response. But here, it was described by Skinner, and it's enforcement or punishment after a behavior. It happens afterwards, right? This is immediately. So this is, they hear the bell ringing, and so they start to salivate. Here, the sea lion is doing his games, and then he's expecting something afterwards. There's another aspect which is called mirroring. Humans and animals seems to have more mirroring neurons. They call them mirroring neurons. And this is a typical situation.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God. Oh shit, look at that.
So if someone looks in a direction anywhere, a lot of people will mirror that. They will just look in the same direction. That's human nature. Look at this here. This is a prank.
Hey guys, there are some invisible objects falling from the sky. Oh, shit! What? Whoa! What is that?
So, mirroring. Some mirroring also seems to be discussed lately, where watching a lot of violence and its influence on children's and adults' behavior after a while. There is a lot of discussion. We haven't concluded yet whether the person is aggressive or whether just the media, games, and aggressive films and behaviors is what causes the violent behavior. Now, there was a case not very long time ago when someone went into some mosques and started to shoot people. So what was it? What was the cause of that? And that is something that a lot of scholars discuss and argue about, and we haven't yet come to a conclusion. Now we're going to come to a different aspect of this lecture, and I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Ebbinghaus, or Herr Ebbinghaus. Ebbinghaus had a theory a long time ago, and he looked and experimented and examined and checked students and candidates, and he discovered a very interesting aspect of learning, which is if you hear at time 0 a lecture or something, at 20 minutes you have only 58%. At 1 hour you have 44%. So within an hour you've lost more than half of what you've listened to here. And that is why just listening to lectures is not enough. Unfortunately, online there is very little we can do other than that. But if you look at this and think about it for your own studies of exams, so it goes very fast, and within 31 days you only have 20% or 21% of what you've learned. So what's the solution? What does this tell us? So you're in the lecture, everything is nice, but within a few days, it's all evaporated. Think about it when you prepare for exams or anything else in your life. But this is a very important chart. So Mr. Hermann Ebbinghaus said this: you'll more easily remember to learn items, if you do it a few times over a long period of time. You have to have a period in between, rather than doing it all in a short go. So learning just before the exam, even if you repeat it a few times, you will memorize it for a short period, which will extend it beyond the chart as it is here, because every time you learn, it goes back up and then it goes down, and so I'll show you a chart for that. But it doesn't stay for very long. So there are 2 methods of repetition that will help you remember and memorize something. It is the quick way, so you have the first repetition immediately after you've learned it, then another 15-20 minutes later, then a few hours later, then after 24 hours, and you will keep it for a while. But what he has found, is that it's better, if you want to do it long term, to do it once afterwards. Then you do still the 20 minutes and the day after that, but then you have another repetition after a few weeks and one more after a few months. And you seem to keep a lot more of the information you've learned. So it's a matter of repeating it, which gives us this curvature. So you have this first, and it comes down after a while, according to this curve. Then you fill it back because you learn it back, and you go back to 100. But this time it comes down slower because now you're retaining more information. And then you do it again, and it comes down even slower, and so on. And the more you keep this, so what happens is that you will get here, and the curve goes longer and longer. So things that you've done a few times, you will learn more and keep more longer. So let's look at some aspects of exam preparation. I'll discuss this partially from discussions I had with students. So part of this is first-hand experience. So all of you did the 12th class, and all of you did it in a way or another. Now, I am aware of a significant number of students who did the 12th class in a different way. You may know some of these. You yourself might be one of those. So what they did was they went from finishing the exams of the 11th year, and shortly afterwards got a private tutor to start teaching them. And this went on every day, no breaks, until the exams the year after that, including the study year itself, the academic year itself. So they came to get fatigue. Fatigue in exam preparation is very bad, because if you're tired, you will not concentrate very well. So it is important to give yourself enough rest and sleep. Nutrition is very important, what you're eating. If you eat heavy, high calorie, oily food, that needs a lot of energy to digest in your stomach and your gut, which means that you will have less concentration as less goes to your brain during the time of that digestion. Visualizing things helps you also to memorize things. Making stories of what you're trying to memorize. Now, it's much easier to memorize a story that you have seen, so visualize and story, than blank text or numbers. And I'll show you a short video about that. So one method I do suggest for those who want to experiment with it is what I call the understand and compress what is important. So how do you know that? So the method is that you read a book for the subject you're going to have an exam. And then you need to read another book, another standard book for the same subject. But this time you're going to concentrate more and you'll take notes while you're reading it. What happens is that you will find that things are repeating themselves. And there are things that are new, and there are things that were mentioned in the first book that are not mentioned in the second book, because they are not that important. Then after you finish the second read, you go and read a third book. And this time when you're reading it, you already know a lot about this subject. You know the things that have been repeated. You know things from the first book and things from the second book that are less important because they haven't been repeated. And now you're reading it, and whatever comes in the third book that they share with the first and second book, that is the most important part of this subject, and that is very likely is what the exam will have. Think about it like that. Everyone who's an expert in a subject knows what's important. The question is, how do you know what is important? And that is a trick you can use. It takes a bit of time, but it isn't sitting just memorizing it. You just take it easy and read it casually. At least in the first two. By the third book, you can start writing your notes, and then you'll have a short summary of what you need to know about this subject, which you can just skip through it fast before the exam. So kind of like not waiting until the last second to learn for the subject, but learning in advance, especially if you like something. It's the method most of you use, which is frying it just the night before the exam, will definitely not maintain the information. You will forget this information for sure after a while. So I was talking about sleep here. So let's look at the physiological effects of sleep deprivation. On the brain, there is a lot of effects here. So you're going to have memory loss or lapse. You're going to have cognitive impairment, meaning that you understand less. You're more irritable, hallucination and yawning. ADHD is you're going to become a little bit hyper. Your immune system will come down, will decrease. Heart rate increases, decreased reaction of time and accuracy, tremors. These things are long term. Again, risk of diabetes. These are long term. But most importantly for you is this here. Cognitive impairment, you'll understand less and your memory is not going to work. So you think you're studying, but you're just wasting time. So be aware of that. So again, that brings us to the point, staying awake until 3 or 4 a.m. the night before the exam. You think that you're studying, but it will confuse your brain. All studies have shown that if you take a good rest before an exam, you're more likely going to score better. And we have many, many examples of people who are good people, who would actually on a normal day score very well in exams, but they go a bit crazy with their exam preparation, and they go to the exam and they are exhausted and confused, and their inhibited neurons start to kick in, and they don't score very well in the exam. And I'm sure that you've experienced that. Let's come to nutrition, this part, nutrition. Generally, these are well known to be good. Believe it or not, even this is good. So, green vegetables, fish and its omega-3, so tuna and fish, berries, tea and coffee, and walnuts. So these are good drinks and food to help your memory. Let's look at this short video, and this is someone who's talking about pi. This is 22 divided by 7.
This is my memory palace. By putting images inside this space, I can memorize huge quantities of information. 10 decks of shuffled playing cards, lists of hundreds of random words, entire poems, and the first 100 digits of pi. I'm going to show you how the memory palace works so that you can memorize the first 100 digits of pi. So you can't just memorize 100 digits of a random number. Most of us are just not going to be able to do that. The technique that I use is called the major system. So using this code, you can convert any number into a word and then into an image that you can visualize in your memory palace. 41. 4 is an R, 1 is a T or a D. Could be RT, rat. 5272. L, N, K, N, Lincoln. 820271001427, 8239407232031227. So what we're going to do with pi is break this number up into 3-digit chunks and come up with a unique image for each chunk. 141, could be a druid. 592, a Libyan, like somebody from Libya. Maybe it's Muammar Gaddafi. 653, could be somebody shouting, Shalom. So basically, these 33 images are the first 100 digits of pi. Now let's go to my memory palace. So now I picture myself standing outside the memory palace, and there's the druid chilling on the front lawn. Then I walk through the door into the house, into a living room, and there's Gaddafi sitting on the yellow sofa. Right next to him, a little midget shouting, Shalom. We turn the corner of the coffee table, and there is a wolf peeing on the nice laminate floor. Right above him, there is a picture going kaboom! And then just beneath that is a nymph, 238, sitting cross-legged on the floor. We're passing from the living room into the bedroom, and right there on the left, 462, a Russian doll. Next to the Russian doll, piping hot falafel filled with shawarma. On the bed, MFM, male, female, male, pornographic scenes. And hanging from the wall, big, bony kneecap. And then I walk into the bathroom. It's a beautiful bathroom. There's Wilson, the volleyball from Castaway. He's sitting on the toilet. Inside the shower is going to be Michelle Pfeiffer. And on a coffee table, a little bathroom reading, top of the book. And then 169 on the wall, a Toshiba logo. Next to that, 399, male pattern boldness. I walk into the kitchen and there's Michael Jackson moonwalking across the laminate floor. Next to him, a humming diesel motor. And then on the wall, there are these phones that are buzzing, and in front of them, a baker. I can smell the bread baking in the oven. And in front of him is a barrier. I'm gonna lift up that barrier and walk into the hallway. It's Muammar Gaddafi again. And behind him, a Lucha Libre mask. A pair of red high-heeled leather dominatrix boots, a horseshoe, a no fishing sign, an unsafe sign, a big bottle of cheap Popov vodka, and there I see an ocean view. And then I walk outside of the house into the backyard. It's summer, and behind that, a funnel, and Helen Mirren. And then 117, a fish riding a bicycle. I don't know, because that's idiotic. 067, Pat Sajak, the host from Wheel of Fortune. And that's my memory palace. That's how I visualize the first 100 digits of pi. Okay, so now let's see if I can actually do this. 067. Just did it. That's it.
I can tell you from personal experience that I had multiple credit cards when I was in Europe, and each credit card has a few numbers. There is 16 digits on the front. There is a date, end date, which is 4 digits, and then there is a 3-digit special code on the back. You may not believe it, but I actually memorized 3 or 4 cards, which each had all these digits. So each one had 23 digits, and I had them all in my mind. I could write down all my credit card numbers because I memorized it, not because I wanted to memorize it, because I used it, and again and again and again. At some stage, you memorize it. The same thing is with the telephone numbers and other things that you might memorize. So what I wanted to just say at the last slide is, remember, it would be the dream of everyone if we have a USB drive, just plug it in and download, like in the film Matrix, where you can download whatever skills you want. But the world doesn't work like that. You have to work hard and repeat and repeat and repeat until you get it into your brains. And some people need less repetition and some people need more repetition. But if you repeat enough, you will definitely learn the subject, whatever it is, even if it is rocket science. And thank you very much. I used 2 of Karoch's slides. They were very useful. So thank you very much.